We are started.
I've gone and done
No, I guess
We're here. I am here.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning into this episode of Expressions Podcast. We have the three of us here this week, Mark, Aurora, and myself. We're going to be talking about what we've been up to, some of the cool things that we've been doing, because things are starting to open up again. And we each have our own little stories of activities and things like that. So rather than bring on a guest tonight and get into something that other people are doing, we thought we would talk about what we were doing.
Because we're important.
Because
Right.
once in a while we're important.
We're exciting. Exciting. We're exciting people.
Exciting.
We're exciting people.
Aurora. Jazz hands. Well, I mean, it's kind of true. There's some exciting things that have happened. I guess I could start off. Oh, you're doing the Bryan.
I'm excited.
I'm going to start off with what I've been up to because I just finished what I was doing before we started this. And I was pretty excited. On Monday, I started a camera club called the Through Your Lens Virtual Photo Club. It's an online-only photography club for people who like photography. I guess that makes sense. And it's the idea is no ego, no attitude, inspiration, motivation, education for free. So we are doing this on Facebook, and we've got some amazing people involved. The administration team, I guess you could say, are all friends of mine and amazing photographers and people who love to share their knowledge. So I'm very excited about that. And Mark is a part of it as well. And Aurora, you're in there too, aren't you?
Yes, I'm a part of the group for sure.
Fantastic.
I'm sorry I missed it today.
I got roped into it somehow. But if you want to join, I'm sure Bryan will put the link down below. And if you want to join, when you request to join, I just accept everybody. I'm like, oh, you're just a mechanic. I'm just a mechanic. Yeah, sure, no problem. Oh, you're a baker. Yeah, sure. Come on in.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm kidding. I don't do that. There are questions.
The baker. You just ended it with bakers. If you're a baker, no, I'm just kidding. Bakers are allowed.
Actually, I do take bribes. So if you're a baker, send me a half a dozen cookies. Let me know when you're going to request to be in, and I'll. No bribes. No. Never forget the bribes.
Okay, so we actually just talked about it in our meeting that we just had earlier, like I said, today. And one of the things I mentioned was we don't want a huge camera club. That's not the goal. It's not the goal to have this massive amount of people. It's the goal to have whoever is there being active. That's the key. We want people to contribute. We want people to be involved. So this was the announcement, the first time that the people in the camera club met the administration team. And even though it's only been posted since Monday, we have over 150 people who've already asked to be a part of it. To me, that's like huge because I don't know of 100 people that ever want to be involved in what I do. So that was really cool that we had that many people interested, which really shows me that people are dying to be creative. People are jonesing for that excuse to get out and make photos and to do things creatively. So that was very encouraging for me. And during this conversation, we went through the rules. We went through all the things that we're going to do in the camera club and all the different things. But what the real point was to just introduce ourselves to this new community and to find out who they are and let them know who we are. It was a lot of fun. It was a great conversation. But again, the goal is to get people active. So if anybody does want to join, you're more than welcome to put your application through the Through Your Lens Virtual Photo Club on Facebook. As I say, it's completely free. But now, officially, as of this meeting, if you do not fill out the 3 questions that we ask, and if you do not agree to our terms and conditions, we're not going to accept you. I mean, that's just kind of how it's going to go from this point. And by the way, the big rule of our camera club, the number 1 rule is the don't be a dick rule. Basically, we're copying Elon Musk with Tesla. I know it sounds kind of weird, but he has the rule at Tesla that if you're a dick, you're gone. And what that means is if you're rude, obnoxious, disrespectful, bring people down, any of these things that just makes people feel generally uncomfortable, that's really what we're talking about. So it's the don't be a dick rule. And I thought that was pretty funny to talk about.
Or in other words, be a good person.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? That's everything I do is about making sure that people are being a good person, contributing to the world around us, sharing your gifts, encouraging and helping people out. Because without that, what we end up with is what we're seeing these days. And it's really scary to me in my short lifetime, how the world has changed from even just before 9/11. Now, I think that's where I saw the biggest shift. The world was one way before 9/11. 9/11 hit and nothing's been the same since. And whether it's everybody's on edge and scared about somebody attacking us, or people are just frustrated with all the red levels and the orange levels and all the other things that went along with that whole disaster. And that's been so long past now. I mean, most of the people these days were born after that, which is really weird to me. Well, not most of the people, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There's so many people who were born after 9/11 who have no point of reference for what the world was like beforehand. So the world is really steamrolling down this path of intolerance and anger and short fuses. And that's frustrating to me. So I'm really hoping that everything that I do is going to be the opposite of that. That's my goal. What do you think, Mark? What have you been up to? I've got Dixie.
I like it. I'm enjoying the content of the club. I'm not what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not hugely active as far as social media. I go on, I scroll through things, I hit like on a couple of things. I don't do a lot of postings on social media these days. And just, frankly, because I don't have a lot of new content, although I guess that's not true because I still post pictures of the food and Aurora, our guest, Christina, has been the one that has sort of got me on that path of finding new things, new dishes to eat. So that's something that I've continued to do. I've continued to a lot of experiments in the kitchen. But all of those pictures that I post, I take with my cell phone. I did start this is round 35 of the photography scavenger hunt.
Nice.
So I'm in that, and they've given us a word list, which is top secret unless you're in the scavenger hunt. So sorry, I can't share any words. But I went out on Wednesday. I think it was I can't remember what day it was. My wife and I went out. Anyways, we took the dogs and I think we got ice cream, and then we went shopping a bit and took a camera. Yeah, I can't remember what day it was. Doesn't matter. We were out taking pictures, walking the dogs, and we went out to Kekabeka Falls. And while I didn't get any pictures for the hunt at Kekabeka Falls, there's a lot of water flowing over the falls, which created a lot of mist. And I got into the mist. And if you're familiar of the Stephen King story, The Mist, there was definitely something in the mist, and that's that the mist was water. And I and my dog and my wife and the dog that she was walking, and a very, very soggy. The water was literally dripping off my camera. So thank you, Nikon, for making an environmentally sealed camera in the Nikon D750. And of course, 3-legged thing for my carbon fiber tripod, because no rust there either. There was a lot of water, and the worst part is when I got to where I wanted to get a picture, there was so much water droplets in the air, there was no picture, because when I set up the camera on the tripod and I looked through the viewfinder, all I could see was rivers of water going down the front of my ND plates.
Oh no! Oh, that's the worst.
Like, literally, it was like somebody had a hose and they were spraying a window. So I had to laugh. Anyways, the plates are clean, the camera's clean and dry, and I'm all good. And I dried off, obviously, but that was fun. Prior to that, though, a little bit of a somber moment. I was down at the waterfront here in Thunder Bay, and there is a tugboat, which is a historical fixture here in Thunder Bay, called the James Whalen, and it actually sank last weekend. It sunk at the dock, so it's sort of in the water, listing to the side, and so I got a bunch of pictures of that as well, which are interesting. There's a couple of really interesting ones that I like and again, I can't talk too much about it, but because of the scavenger hunt, it's all top secret and everything, right? For the people that are in the hunt, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but I'm trying to decide whether or not to use some of those pictures or one of those pictures for one of my entries. And if I do, I can't share any of them because then everybody knows it's my picture.
So scavenger hunt, I know what it is, and I entered it one year and I did horribly. I think I did 2 pictures out of how many there were. Explain why and what a scavenger hunt is.
So basically, everybody knows the premise of a scavenger hunt. They give you a list of things and you go out, you find them. In this case, it's a photography scavenger hunt. So they give you a list of words and you go off and you find a word to match, like a picture to match that word. So you would, like, if the word was car, then you could go take a picture of a car. But then there's the creative side of it that I could just walk out of the driveway and snap a picture of the car. Or could I go to the waterfront at sunrise and light it properly and get the sun coming up in the background? Maybe it's Thunder Bay with the sleeping giant. Or if you're in Toronto, can you find a parking lot somewhere where you can see the CN Tower in the background and get a picture of the car at night with the cityscape and the lights on and all this. So
well, you like thinking outside the box. I mean, that's kind of your
well, absolutely. But literally, you can take it literally, and you can go, there's a car, I'm taking the picture, got the word. Or you can go outside the box, and you can be as creative and adventurous as you want. Or there are people that got really crazy, and they use a model of a car, and they make a diorama, or they put it in nature somewhere, and then they light the model of the car, or they light it on fire, or they blow it up, or whatever they want to do with it. But they give you, I think this word list is 9 words, and then if you get the 9, you're allowed to do a bonus entry. So there's a 10th bonus entry, and many of the lists have been that way. They've been 9, and if you get all 9, you get a bonus entry. Sometimes there's 10 words. There's been as few as 6. But they run it. I think they run 4 times a year, and this is the second round in 2022. So that I believe there'll be 2 more. Our guest next week, actually, Debbie DeBarmaker, is one of the people that runs the scavenger hunt.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that's actually not why I asked her on. She's a quilter as well, and I want to talk to her about that. But we can touch on that as well with her to talk about the scavenger hunt a little more. But it's fun. And then so you have a deadline, and the deadline for this one I think is June. It's in June sometime, and you submit your pictures, and then they have a panel of judges that vote them. And you don't win anything other than notoriety, or actually that's not true. The person that wins the total hunt gets the honor of being a judge in the next round.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
so that's kind of cool. I believe they still do that, but I've done okay in the scavenger hunt. Sometimes my words, and Bryan, from when I entered your photo challenges, sometimes my ideas go so far out in left field that the box is just a little dot on the horizon.
But that's what I like.
And
I love that.
And it doesn't always meet well with a judging. I don't want to call it a panel, because you get judged by I think there's 4 judges, and each judge submits their first, second, and third for an image. So you could conceivably get a first place, but then I could also get a first place for the same image, but from a different judge. And then for every first, second, third, and honorable mention, they do a points tally to find out who the grand champion is. So, but it's just fun. It's an outlet to be creative. It's a reason to go shoot things, photograph things. Sorry, not shoot.
Yeah, right. Got to specify.
Got to specify these things. So,
I like the themed idea. I had a customer who, and this was something that was really cool for me just the other day. She's a teacher at a local school. She has a student who has anxiety and some other issues with learning and so on. And she's teaching this girl who has the issues, submitted a photo for a contest and won gold. And they've invited her to submit a portfolio for this contest now, and she has to make all these photos. So the teacher is literally like out of pocket. She bought a lighting kit. Actually, Aurora Marco had to call me because she tried dealing through commercial, and Marco called me and asked if I could help out because she was local to this area. And I didn't really know how to help, because you know how our supply of flashes are right now. Like there's nothing, right? So it turns out that the kit that she wanted, we actually had. So she bought it for this girl, and she's literally setting up her students or her classrooms with different themes. So like one classroom will be a macro, one classroom will be portrait, one classroom will be, something else. And she'll take this girl from classroom to classroom to help her make these photos for that thing. So I was so impressed with the fact that this teacher is stepping up so much to help this young girl. And it really made me feel better about the state of how people are teaching. Like you always hear about people complaining about teachers and that. This teacher was incredible. She really, really was trying hard to help this girl. And it was really encouraging to see. She told me about one of the photos, and the theme was peace. So my first thought when I heard that theme was get a photo of like the map of Europe and Russia, and section out Ukraine and make it like it's a puzzle, and make that like a puzzle piece that's been removed. So you have a piece of the puzzle and piece in relation to the Ukraine situation and the Russian war and so on. So it's kind of like a double take on the word piece. And she heard me say that, and she's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I didn't think of that." And she said I should have tried that. And I'm like, well, you still can. I mean, this is why I like Mark's way of doing photo challenges. You're always kind of thinking outside that box. And even on our first episode, I said, somebody said something and you're instantly thinking about a woman giving birth or something.
Like, that was you that said that, not me.
Yeah, that was me. That said that. But I mean, that's my point, is you think so far out of the box that it really makes somebody look at your image and think, what's going on here? And I think that's the real important thing in photography. Yeah,
absolutely. And that's the interpretation of it. And it's not always about what the masses want. It's what you want. It's what makes you happy. So when I do these, and it's funny, the photo challenge is often,
bless you, Aurora,
Godzilla.
Thank you.
Or it's not so I say Godzilla. But when you do a photo challenge, it's up to you to interpret that photo. Like I say car, and somebody could shoot a part of a car, a whole car, or whatever. But I mean, there's been words that, I mean, we've been so far out of the box that, I mean, it's just gone. And sometimes people get it, sometimes people don't get it. A lot of times I use a lot of pop culture references in my photos and things like that. Like I know for you had done the album cover challenge with Day Tripper Photo on the photo show. And I did the Weekend Pass album cover from the band that I used to be in years and years ago in front of my garage. And, even did the back cover because why not? It was just fun. But there were so many little Easter eggs in that album cover. From the UPC code was, what was it, 8675309. So I think anybody from that era would go, oh, I should call Jenny,
Aurora's like, what are you talking about? Who, what?
And then I think I did the, I can't remember, the explicit lyrics warning and stuff like that, which is sort of like a tip to the 80s and the 90s where the PMRC was big in the States and they were trying to censor music and whatnot. But
it was great. I love it.
It was just, you got to have fun, right? And then, of course, one of the members, my friend Len, he lives in Germany now. And his wife took a picture of him with his bass, but he's wearing lederhosen. And she emailed it to me. And I made it look like it was cut out of a picture and pinned it to the picture, right? So it looked like it was pinned up, and there is the bass and lederhosen and the hat with the feather. And it was fun. It was a fun shoot to do, and
right. And after all these years, it's still fresh on your mind. It's still one of those things that makes you feel happy when you think about it. I love that.
Well, exactly. It's just fun. It's and that's the thing about photography is expression, and that's what we're talking about here is expressing yourself, and it's. Any way you express yourself, you're not wrong. That's the beautiful thing about it.
Well,
as long as it's legal,
right?
And you're expressing yourself, then you're.
Because we've just gone through this whole situation in Ottawa with the Canadians with the Canadian flags flying. And,
yes, the Caillou convoy. Yes.
Yeah, like that to me is not the kind of expression that. And we even had Jim Lowe, Aurora. We had Jim Lowe on the show. And we talked to him about freedom of expression and all these things.
Yeah.
So yes, expression is important.
Yeah, and we talked about it in detail on that particular show. It's okay for people to protest about whatever cause they're wanting to protest, but if they're breaking laws doing it or something like that, then
infringing on our rights.
Yeah, infringing on other people's rights or breaking laws is what it really boils down to. That's when it becomes a problem, right?
Well, and the funny part about rights is that, and we're getting political here, but the funny part about rights is it's not pie. Just because you have more rights, I give you more rights, or society awards you more rights, it doesn't mean there's less rights for me.
Right.
It's not like, oh, well, Aurora, you have the right now to wear half your hair purple, but Mark has to shave his hair off. Right. That's not the way it works. Yes, you have the right to have your purple hair, and Mark can have his hair however he wants, shaven or otherwise.
By the way, your hair looks very nice tonight, Mark.
Thank you. It was a fresh cut. Mike did it. Anybody watching, I'm not sponsored by them, but District and Thunder Bay, and Mike does it. He's the big tattooed guy. But that's the thing, right? I mean, with your freedom of expression, as long as you're not breaking a law, or in my case, in a lot of my pictures, I do things legally when I take the picture, and then in Photoshop I make it look like it wasn't done legally. And we talked about that with the one car, the car picture, the Cadillac Did you buy the Cadillac, by the way?
No.
Okay. So it was the Cadillac picture. I think the speedometer coming into a corner showed 130 kilometers an hour or something like that. And of course, the sign on the corner said 60. And the car was not moving when I took the picture. So probably the most illegal thing I did to get that picture was I stopped on a road and took a picture very quickly and left. But it was in my lane and made sure there was nobody coming behind me. So I stopped for like maybe 30 seconds and always watching the mirrors to make sure there's nobody coming up. But I often do that. I'll Photoshop something to make it look like something else.
Much safer that way.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And less tickets.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Aurora, what have you been up to? Because I know you've been up to some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I don't want to say crazy, exciting. Like things with family, things outside of family.
Yeah. Oh man, there's a ton of stuff going on for me right now. You can probably tell I'm a little red-faced. That happens when I'm like pretty exhausted, but it's a good exhaustion. It's a good tired. The past month and a half or more, I've been doing all sorts of side photo or video projects on my days off. One being that I just released recently was we had Jace on for an episode, my middle sibling, Jace. And Jace was on to talk about their music, the release of the song on Spotify. And at the time, we hinted about a music video being in the works. So the first of all these photo side projects was this music video, which I have now released, and everything is good. We went to this really cool studio called Post Creative, and they had a what's the word? Like a seasonal installation of these suspended flowers in a room. It covered basically the entirety of the room except for the outside and a small like circle, I guess, in the middle. And it was the perfect location to shoot this video. Because the song is called Chrysanthemums. Many of the flowers that were in this installation were actually chrysanthemum plastic flowers. And I, in doing the shoot, I had the chance to take some pictures of some of the extras in the video, as well as record the music video at the studio. It was a really fun and busy day. And this was the first time I recorded any video in any sort of capacity in a very long time. The plan for this video initially was to do like a story as well as the music component. But the amount of work that we put into the music component for this video, as well as the timeline, as well as actually just finding people who are willing to be the actors, the extras in the story component to the video, we decided just to go with the music part of it. So Jace in some of the clips is just singing, in some of the clips playing the guitar, and then in some of the clips we have a couple people who are doing the instrumentals behind, which ended up turning out really cool. This was my first experience with a gimbal. Right. I've never used one before. So in the days leading up to this, I basically was learning with some of the staff at my store in Woodbridge, how to use a gimbal, how to balance a gimbal, how to figure out issues. That day I came across a couple issues that I couldn't get past. So since then I've learned how to fix things, how to correct for issues with the gimbal and stuff like that. And I've been doing more work with gimbals. So it's been quite cool. So there was that. I also briefly mentioned on the episode where we interviewed John Simo that I had a recent visit to Neon Demon Studios, which is a neon theme studio. If you, anybody who's listening or anybody who's interested, if you want to take a look at the studio, it's a really cool creative space, just with all sorts of neon signs, really grungy kind of aesthetic. And I planned a photo shoot with, the first one was also with my friend, and Elisa, who was also a guest on this episode, on this podcast, in the first season.
That's because we support the people we love.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
We should support the people we love, support the people that we know that are creative, that need support. I think that's really important. So
yeah. And even if they don't need support, it's like one of the things that Elisa and I have been noticing recently is like, now that we're collaborating more, now that we're able to get out and do stuff more, we're really loving the fact that we can kind of like bounce things off of each other and motivate each other to do more things and be more creative and get involved in different kind of creative projects. And every time I talk to her, we're now thinking of a different shoot, a different thing that we can do, and it's a lot of fun, because for a while I felt a little stifled with that kind of thing. So yeah, I did this recent shoot at Neon Demon. So got some pictures. Elisa got some pictures of me. I got some pictures of Elisa and our mutual friend Melissa. We ended up, weeks prior to this shoot, we ended up basically going to different kind of thrift stores, trying to find like this futuristic looking outfit with holographic material, stuff that would reflect things more, in the Neon Studio. We've got a ton of really cool photos of that.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, for a long time we tried to figure out what exactly it was we wanted. So the pictures of me, I'm wearing a leather jacket, so you get the shininess of the leather jacket with the reflection of the light on in the studio. My friend Elisa as well, she had kind of like a darker outfit, and some little accessories and stuff like that. And then our friend Melissa, she went all out. She was in like a full holographic tracksuit, basically.
Oh, jeez.
So it turned out really cool. I really love those images. I'm going to be sharing those soon. Following that, I actually went to, and I believe we should actually invite her as a guest on the show, Emily. I don't know how to pronounce her last name, so I'm not going to attempt
Emily
it.
that we used to work with?
Emily, who used to work at the Newmarket Henry's, has a photo studio and in Barrie, and she recently did a
Grey
content
Pine
day.
Studio, right?
Yes, Grey Pine Studio. She recently did a content day, and my friend Elisa saw it, and I said, oh my gosh, I know her. I've been wanting to go to her studio. I've been wanting to go and support her. Let's go to this event. So we ended up going to this event, and it was awesome. There was a maternity model. There was a model who's been modeling for like 15 years or something like that. And she came with like a bunch of boudoir outfits. So we got some boudoir practice. There's a bunch of other photographers there doing all sorts of different kind of creative projects. And then we all were kind of taking pictures of each other, different angles, different lighting. And the way that Emily has it set up in the studio, there's different sections of the studio, so you can get many different looks in one place. So if you rent the studio, you get all of these different looks. There's an archway. There's kind of like this white kind of material, like satin, almost not satin, but a material backdrop. There's she has a actually suspended flower display. There was like a piano with a bunch of flowers on it. Unfortunately, they had to take that down a few days later because it was all messed up, because people were touching it, which is unfortunate. There's bed, there's a little a book nook kind of thing, and an actual studio, like with paper backdrops in many different colors. So we got a ton of different content, which it's going to be a while till I'm able to post a decent amount of that stuff. But I got a wide range of headshot, portrait, action, boudoir, maternity,
Man,
all in one day.
you just jumped in head first in there, didn't you?
Yeah.
So that's
It was
Emily
awesome.
Pelka is her last name.
Pelka.
And Grey Pine Studio. Yeah, we should definitely talk to Emily about maybe she'll want to come on.
Yeah, because it's really cool. Like I had a bit of a conversation with her. Like obviously it was a busy day. There was a bunch of different content creator, photographers, models. There was a bunch of people there that day, and she was busy with all of them, obviously. But she said the business is going really well. She still has time to shoot her own stuff on the side. It was funny. She said the studio is booked up. She can't even shoot her own stuff in the studio. So business is going really well for her. And it's awesome. I had a great time at the space, and I definitely will go back again. Because it was just a great big and many different looks out of one studio you can get, which is cool. And
cool.
Last,
invited.
I'm invited. Oh, there you go. There you go. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I would
no messing around.
I'd love to have her on because we could talk about her photography, but also the making of the studio, because I think that's a pretty big project for her.
Well, I've been
involved total different kind of creativity. But
I had the Loft Studio on Main Street with 4 other partners. Probably the most fulfilling thing that I've done for Day Tripper Photo. Having a space to create and just to do your own thing. I used it for my workshops, of course, but like Navi was on there, and Joe LeDuc and Robert and Gabriel Bousquet. We all used it for different reasons, and just having a space, it gives so much legitimacy to everything. Like I could say, yeah, sure, meet me at my studio for this workshop, and people are like, "Ooh, studio, you got to know what you're doing." Yeah. But Emily has taken this to a completely different place, and her place is huge, from what I understand.
Yeah,
and big. Just that's got to be so expensive to run. So it'll be really interesting to hear how she's able to market it properly and get the word out to the right people, because we had a heck of a time trying to do that.
I think part of it is right now it's a huge trend to have a studio. Back 5 years ago, or even less than 5 years ago, even 3 years ago, it was not a trend to have a studio. But now it's become this like trendy style of business, and it's not just photographers who rent out studios, it's content creators, because they want a space to go to that they can get a different look for their photos, so they can post interesting photos on Instagram or their website or whatever it may be. So it's not, the business has vastly expanded, and if you have the creative mindset to create a studio that has more looks that one person could rent the entire studio, and shoot a bunch of different content so that they can have photos for the next month or the next 2 weeks or something like that, photos or video, because video is the biggest thing right now. That gives you another competitive edge, because if you have a different look, a different style to your studio, or you have a bunch of different sets that someone can get a bunch of different content out of, then more people are going to be more likely to go to your studio.
Well, the same money spent gives you so much more in return.
Exactly. And then you've got themes as well. So a lot of these studios, like what Emily's doing now, is she has the suspended floral display in her studio, but that's only for a limited time. So these studios are now doing these specific looks for a limited time only.
Yeah. Well, that's what John Simo was saying when we had him on too, right? Like he sets it up, and after a while he has to change it all, guts it all, starts all over again, and I think that is important for sure.
Yeah,
it keeps it fresh, right? Because if I'm going to rent your space, I might go, okay, I've got a couple of boudoir that I want to do. and I'm going to shoot those. But then, a year down the road, if I get a client back in that says, my husband really loved those boudoir shots, or my wife really, or my partner really loved those boudoir shots. I want to do more with you.
Yeah.
But I bring you back into the space, and it's the same space.
Yeah.
And now we're just doing the same pictures again. But now if you can swap it up and bring a different look or something like that, then that's cool. That's how you're keeping relevant, right?
Yeah, and it's awesome. Like Post Creative, that studio that had the suspended floor display, like at the time there was no other studio that had that kind of display. Now a bunch of them have this kind of display. But now they have something called the Meadow. And it is super cool. They have like all this like tall grass with floral, like tall flowers and butterflies hanging from the ceiling and stuff like that. And yeah, it's a very smart way to do business, and it's definitely a thing that people are going to love and enjoy for a long period of time. So that's definitely that.
Mark,
and then,
sorry, Aurora, what's up there, Mark? What are you staring at? Is there a bug up there?
Oh no.
Yeah. And the worst part is if my wife sees it and I lose it, I'm in big. He's broken the accord. He shouldn't be in the house. He really shouldn't be. Yeah,
it was like all of a sudden you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, I took a drink of my,
and then you're like, is
water.
there more?
I'm like, it's white ceiling, black. Like,
oh man.
I mean, to me, it's not that big. It's it's like a little bit. To my wife, it'll be like a dog.
That's your reaction, the way you lock in on it.
It'll be trying to like.
I love it.
I'll have to dispatch it before the show is before I leave the room.
Yeah, no kidding. Sorry, Aurora, I didn't mean to cut you.
I apologize.
Yeah,
Aurora.
that's okay. I was just gonna kind of move on to the last bit of stuff that I've been doing.
Perfect.
So
I feel like I've been doing nothing now after listening to all of your.
Me too. I know, right?
The video of Jason and everything.
This is all the part-time stuff. Like I work full-time as a manager at Henry's. So
wait, not only we should clarify, you're kind of the
I'm managing two stores right now, technically.
Oh,
technically.
She's now coming back to Newmarket.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, but you're still running Woodbridge. So yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm tired. But yeah. So I was recently approached by this cool, very, very cool therapy clinic, basically. I'm not going to name the business right now because I don't know when the content is going to be released, and I don't know when this video is uploaded, but I've been doing some interior work, some corporate work, some portrait work, some video, reels, virtual tour stuff with them. They have 2 new locations, and it's a really, really cool concept for therapy because it's not only counseling, like psychotherapy, therapy, that kind of thing. It's also, you can go to your therapy appointment and right after get a massage or right after get acupuncture treatment.
Very cool.
In the same building, and sometimes in some cases in the same room. They would just switch out the practitioner. So it's a very, very cool concept, and I'm very happy to be working with them. But it has allowed me to kind of expand into the world of making professional reels. I've done a bit of it, but this is the first time that I've kind of like applied it to interior work, because I've done it a lot with like portrait work and stuff like that. So it's definitely very, very cool project that I've been working on.
That's awesome.
And it's a multi-shoot type of thing. Right now I'm just finished number 3 out of 4, and it's all been within a very short span of time that I've shot 3 times, about a week and a half. So yeah, it's a pretty big project, and very happy to be working on it. So
see now we've come full circle to a discussion we had when we first joined, and you were asking us how your audio was.
Yes.
Now we know why you have the new microphone.
Yes. Yes, I'm using a wireless microphone, Rode Wireless Go 2.
Sounds
today.
great.
Very
And,
cool. Yeah, your audio sounds great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, you've been very busy. Been very, very busy.
She's just, it reminds me of I don't know if anybody has seen. There's a skit from Madeline Kahn in the movie with Gene Wilder. He's a cowboy. Anyway, she sings the song "I'm Tired," and it's because she's like been with so many men that she's just super tired. So it's hilarious.
Was that Blazing Saddles?
Blazing Saddles, exactly right. Yes, exactly. She does that scene. Anybody who wants to see something hilarious, check out Madeline Kahn. Do the scene "I'm Tired" from Blazing Saddles.
That also just tells everybody how old Mark and Brian are that they knew.
Yes, I know it's true. Hell, Mel
I gotta
Brooks
check
is a
this out.
classic. Yes, you do. I'll send you a link. It's brilliant.
Hell with you, I'm going to work for Mel Brooks.
I love Mel Brooks. Mark, you were talking to me earlier about something creepy and crawly, and then you looked up at your ceiling and you saw that. Apparently, there's a new bug, or there's a bug that is named after a famous celebrity. You were saying, what's the deal with that?
Yeah, actually, I was looking. I don't like the news. I don't like people go, oh, you get a lot of mainstream media. Yeah, you're right. I don't do mainstream media. I do strange news. This is strange news. So Taylor Swift, yes, that one, the singer, was the inspiration for the name of a new millipede species that they found. So it's called the Swift Twisted Claw Millipede, or the Nanaria swiftae, was among several species just recently found in Tennessee. So this is it's not brand new news. This was April 20th. It was posted, but that's the sort of thing that I see.
Oh my goodness!
Although I do have to admit
that sounds terrifying.
You can Google it, Taylor Swift inspiration for millipede, and they've got pictures of Taylor Swift and the millipede side by side. And I do have to admit, Taylor Swift is much more attractive than the millipede. There she is.
Yeah. There you go. I don't know about that. I don't think I agree with you. I think the millipede is kind of more attractive.
Well, it is a handsome insect. Yes,
and I bet you it's a better singer too.
Oh, geez.
I don't know.
Yeah. Anti-Taylor Swift over here.
Is it "Shake It Off" that she does?
Yes.
Okay. Her music is good.
It's what
actually. I liked "Shake It Off" performed by The Rock better than I liked it performed by her.
Speaking of "Shake It Off," we had a guest on whose episode is premiering tonight, the day that we're recording, who did a parody of "Shake It Off."
The Lisa Schwartz.
Yes. Yeah, that was a fun interview.
Yeah,
that was awesome. I was so happy we did that. You know why I was so happy, Aurora? I was so happy because look at you. Look at you.
I was saying this last night. I still can't believe that happened.
And she was so nice.
She was so nice, so cool. And I've been emailing her since about getting her a camera. So it's just really cool that.
Oh yeah, because she doesn't want her duct taped up camera anymore.
Yeah. Yes.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it was really cool that happened. And
it was a good episode. I think her input, being from a place of having 2+ million followers and the pressures that are on somebody with that kind of following, it's nothing that I can relate to. It's nothing that I don't think any of us can relate to. But at the same time, she seems so humble and so normal. Hearing her take on how the world perceives what she's doing and so on was really cool. And she had some great advice that
and not only that, it was just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like, we're all joking, we're all having fun, and it was just like a really upbeat, positive episode.
Absolutely. Yeah. As most of our episodes are.
Exactly. Really. And that's what we aim for.
It is.
We gotta have fun. As a reminder, we do this for us. I mean, if anybody's watching this, and we hope there are, but the 3 or 4 of you that are listening right now, we appreciate you being here. But we do this for us, and we just hope you like it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think the viewers are ever going to,
I mean,
the lack of viewers would ever stop us from doing this.
we get puppy noses. Here's a puppy nose.
Once in a while we get attacked by a cat, it's all good. Speaking
Or
of,
in my case, he's moved, by the way. He's coming closer.
we're going to end the show soon before he jumps on you. So
yeah, perfect. Yeah, we should too, because I haven't had dinner yet. So,
but before we do, I want to touch back on the episode that you guys had without me, with you, Ryan, Aurora, Ryan, and Mark. When Ryan was he had seen better times. Let's say that he had his glasses on, and he's obviously just gotten back from I think he literally got off the bus from partying that weekend. And did the show.
His eyes literally looked like two piss holes in the snow. It was
hilarious.
He was with Mason.
Oh, he was with Carter Mason. Yeah, that'll do it.
And Sunny Kiss.
And Sunny. Yeah.
Spider closer.
Spider's closer. If you have to take care of that spider, Mark, you go right ahead.
Way up there. You don't need to see the shorts I'm wearing. So
I said spider. Now Shelly's dipped into the room. She wants to run away, and she's like holding her chest. Like, oh my god!
Get the spider.
I'll tell you later. All right. So speaking of horrible things, I'm going to segue into the last conversation I think we may have before we, say our goodbyes. It's something that Mark, you and I were talking about before Aurora showed up, and then Aurora showed up, and we touched on it. Politics. Now we don't get into politics very often on this show, and it's really not about politics. As this conversation is not about politics per se. But Mark, you had something you wanted to mention.
Oh sure, put it on me.
Yeah, because I hate politics. And,
okay.
I got nothing.
Relevant to the viewers who are in Ontario and listeners who are in Ontario. So we have, unfortunately, an election coming up. And I say unfortunately, I don't like elections because I don't like politics. And when there's an election, it forces me to research and find out who am I going to vote for. And I don't think it's going to come as any shock to anybody that's on social media. There's a lot of negative commentary about government of all levels.
Yeah.
And the big thing to remember, and what I'm looking for here, I can't even find it again. When is the election here, people? When is the election? She's Ontario. So June 2nd is the election here in Ontario. So if you're unhappy with our leadership and our democratically voted in leadership, if you're unhappy with the leadership here in Ontario, vote. Get out and vote. If you really want to terrify all of the leaders of the political parties, get out there and vote. They're scarier than he's moved again. The spider, and they will be terrified if everybody got out of their house on June the 2nd and went out and voted. I think we would see a vastly different landscape of what we've got now. But it'll help with the voters, even if you spoil your ballot. Get out and vote.
See, this is what I was going to bring up, because I voted the last time for Trudeau and I regretted it, but I didn't. Who'd be better?
We're going to have to mute that. Would you vote?
No, I mean, it is what it is. You make decisions based on what you think is right?
Yeah.
Considering who he was running against at the time, I didn't see a better option. He at least had some history from family being in politics, and so I saw some benefit there. But I don't know who these people are, and I don't know what they're trying to do, and I don't know what they've done. There should be a database online that says, here's the politician, here's what he's voted for, here's what he's voted against, and this is who he stands. This is what he stands for. If there was some sort of uniform platform where you can go to one website and see non-biased opinions and facts about each candidate.
I think there probably is, but each candidate will have their own website, right?
They'll have their own spin on it, though. That's the problem.
But they'll have their platform, what they're running on, and then what they're running on, and what they do afterwards is different. It's like my dad always told me when I was getting my license when I was 16, so 15 years ago. You do certain things to get your license, and then you do other things to keep it. So, yeah. And that's what they do. They tell us what we want to hear to get elected, and then they do other things once they're elected. So, but my point is get out and vote. I'm not political. I haven't done the reading yet. Don't ask me for don't call me up and go, Mark, who do I vote? Because I'm going to go, New phone, who dis? Click. And so don't ask me. But all I'm asking is that if everybody who's listening, all 6 of you, get out there and vote, you can make a difference. Because so many people say, I don't vote because it won't make a difference. But if you look at the voting numbers, I don't remember what they are, but they're dismal. The number of people that actually get out and vote. Get out and vote. There are people in countries that are legitimately under a dictatorship, legitimately, not some bullshit. Oh my God, Trudeau's a dictator. Oh,
no, God, yeah, exactly.
He's not. There are people that would literally give their eye teeth to go out to a Democratic vote. Yeah. And there are people that would give their eye teeth, but then would still fear for their lives to be out and voting. So, get out and vote. Get out and vote. We're a free country. Get out there and vote. And that's just political.
And your scratched vote idea, I'd never even heard of that before. So that doesn't make sense to me.
Even spoiled ballots are counted as spoiled ballots, and it lets them know that you're dissatisfied with, as far as I know, you correct me on that if I'm wrong, but if you spoil the ballot, it lets them know.
Cool.
You stop moving, we're good.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you've convinced me, Mark. I'll vote this time.
All right.
Yeah. I've never missed an election since I've become
so it's your fault.
Old enough.
Right?
It's all your fault.
I missed one. I missed one because I wasn't in my riding the day. I was traveling for work and I didn't go to the.
Oh,
it was my fault. I didn't go to the early polls. I thought I could just walk into a polling station to vote. That's not the case.
Yeah.
Funny little story on voting. My mother lives down in Florida, as you two know, and she's always been Canadian. Like, she's Canadian, but when the former president was president for his 4 years, and there was a vote coming up, my mother planned ahead and got her dual citizenship specifically so she could vote against the former president. And if you actually look at the country, everybody was voting for that guy, and then some people were voting for Biden. You'll notice, by the way, I never say that guy's name. I just don't. So my mother's place of living, West Palm Beach, where she voted, was the only place in Florida that didn't vote for that guy.
Wow.
Which blew my mind that it was all for him. And where my mother happened to vote for the first time ever in the States, it was for Biden.
Yeah. So enough people cared enough to get out and vote.
Yeah. So it makes a difference. Thank you, Mom.
And that's the thing. Oh, it won't make a difference. It doesn't matter who I vote for. And to a point, I mean, I've always been a proponent of politicians are all pretty much cut from the same cloth. But there are a few exceptions to that rule. And if we get a good one, and I haven't read the platforms, I don't know the candidates. So, but get out and vote.
Yeah, get out and vote. Get out and vote. Aurora, anything else you wanted to add before we say goodbye?
No, I think
I have the 3 questions.
You have the 3 questions.
We have the questions. Why not? It's been a while since we've answered the questions.
I wasn't prepared.
It's okay.
So on the last episode where it was just 3, I flipped the questions on Mark and Ryan. Well, one of the questions, the jam question.
So you guys just answered the jam question.
Yeah. But I don't even know if we gave a specific. I think a lot of people just kind of gave a general thing, but it's okay. I like this. I like this.
Cool. I have
up for the challenge.
Ask it.
Yeah, I have a specific too.
Okay, cool.
So should we do it? We should do it.
We should do it. Okay, Bryan, you start.
Okay, I'll start. So, as far as the jam, what is your jam? I'm going to say Smithereens from our friends who were on our episode not too long ago. And I don't know why. From Scatterbrains.
Scatterbrains, yeah.
Yeah. I've been listening to that song pretty much on repeat. And mostly because I want to jam with these guys when the world opens up again. I want to get up to Barrie and I want to sit behind the kit and play with these guys. So I've been listening to Smithereens over and over and over again. And it's a great song. Like, it's well put together. It sounds great. It's fun to play. It's definitely a song that I can see myself jamming out to. So yeah, Smithereens from Scatterbrains. Love it. Awesome stuff. And as far as my tool of the trade, it hasn't changed. My tool of the trade is still my Leatherman. I use that thing all the time. Like, it's always being used. I mean, look at that thing. It's ancient. Whoops. heavy too. Sorry. Yeah, I that my tool hasn't changed. I mean, everybody's going into creativity and thinking and all these things. And yeah, that's all, we all do those things. But my tool of the trade is actually a tool that's very helpful to me in my everyday, at work, at play, or whatever. And is there a third question? What's the third question?
Well, it was the challenge, but I don't
What's
think
your
we.
Oh, the challenge. Yeah, I don't want to give a challenge.
I don't think we need to give it a challenge.
No,
I
don't
think.
need to give a challenge. All right, Aurora, your turn. What's your jam?
So I've been almost exclusively listening to a podcast. But aside from the podcast, I've been listening to Chrysanthemums on repeat.
It's a good song.
While editing this video, and I gotta tell you, it gets stuck in my head, and I haven't gotten sick of it.
That's good.
I've did hours of listening to it over and over again, editing the video. So listen to Chrysanthemums by Cadence Arcana. It's
Perfect.
on Spotify. But yeah, I've also been listening to Potterless Podcast, which is a podcast about Harry Potter, a guy who basically read the books of Harry Potter when he was starting at 25 years old. It's like a, kids series of books. And I was in a similar situation. My mom at the time did not want me to read the Harry Potter books because it was too grown up or too whatever. And later on I read it because it was something that Andrew, actually very recently I read it, the whole series, because it's something that Andrew loved and always has loved since he was little. And I've been listening to this podcast because it's really funny. It's a very sarcastic take on these magical children's novels, but also somehow he grows to love the novels as the podcast goes along. So that's what I've been listening to.
Oh, very cool.
Aside from music.
Cool.
And tool of the trade, that's one of the ones that's more difficult for me. I can't pinpoint a specific tool. Today I use several, but I will say a new tool that I'm considering investing in is a gimbal. I think that is the future of digital imagery is video. It's where social media is going. It's where all the algorithms are going. I mean, there's a video component to this podcast, which is primarily audio. So a gimbal is a really cool tool that I've just recently learned how to use. And as long as you take about an hour to an hour and a half of time to really understand how a gimbal works, you can get some really cool things and get very unrealistic looking videos in a very normal kind of setting. There's all sorts of different kinds of modes and options, like inception mode and stuff like that, where the camera does a full spin.
Insemination mode? What?
Inception mode.
You're having children with your what is this?
No, like the movie Inception.
Oh,
with Leonardo DiCaprio.
How is that a
camera
mode?
Flips. It's a mode on the gimbal where the camera turns around and does the world flips on itself kind of thing. It's really cool. It's very, very cool.
See, I would have just turned the camera upside down and all jerky.
Yeah, I would have been trying to do backflips or something.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Nice.
It's awesome.
So which one are you talking about? Which gimbal is this?
So I've been borrowing the Feiyutech AK-2000.
The C?
But I haven't decided that's the one that I'm going to go for. I don't know if I'm going to go for one. A couple people on my work have really said that DJI is the way to go. But Gentech is so good for... Gentech is the authorized repair center for Feiyutech gimbals, and I like dealing with Gentech. So
yeah, me too.
And I don't like dealing with DJI. So
me too.
I don't know. I think I'm leaning more towards that, but again, DJI has more features.
Well, DJI, don't you have to deal with them out of California?
Well, for the longest time, I was dealing with them out of China, and they would get back to you months later down the line. Now they have, I think, a California head office location, and they have stores now, so it's a little bit more accessible than it was, but
Okay.
still not very easy for retailers like Henry's to deal with.
And
DJI.
Gentech is awesome.
Yeah.
These lenses right here are from Gentech right now
Gentech
because
does Sigma, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yep.
Sigma,
Yeah,
Manfrotto, Joby.
Great service from Gentech. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Incredible.
When the cat attack happened in the lens.
And I have a challenge that I
Oh.
would like to issue.
Okay.
This is in relation to shooting photos and videos with my best friend. Find someone in your life who shares the same creative hobby as you do, whether it be a friend, a family member, someone you met at a photo club, for example, like Bryan's virtual photo club, and work with that person on a regular basis. Talk to them on a regular basis and share ideas. Don't be afraid to connect with that person. Don't be afraid to work with that person, and exchange ideas and try to motivate each other to pursue the creative, whatever creative expression your form of expression you're using. Try to motivate each other to go for those things. So I guess
I've already done your challenge. That's why we have a podcast.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why I have a camera club. Everything I do, I love collaborating with people because I don't trust myself alone. I don't trust my own ideas alone. Do you know what I mean? I love having input from other people. So the idea of collaborating with other people is an amazing challenge, and I think more people should definitely do it.
Yeah. And
I don't need to do it because Bryan sucks me into all his stuff. So
the idea of collaborating is everything now, especially on social media. But not only collaborating, but motivating each other. Like, you're working on something. Okay, well, I'm working on editing photos from this particular project. I'm going to call up my friend and I'm going to ask them for opinion. I'm going to call up, or, text them or send them a picture or, show them things. I think it's really important to have that motivation, because it's really been good for my creative headspace.
Yeah, me
And
too. I
mean,
thank you
the
too
podcast has
and Ryan
done
for
this
that.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very good.
Before we finish with you, Aurora, and go to Mark, I want to just mention one last thing about Gentech, about how good they are.
Yeah.
You guys remember Michael Lane, a friend of mine who passed away at Albion Falls.
Yeah.
When he passed away, his family reached out to me and asked if there was a lens that they could put his ashes into. So I'm like,
my
well,
gosh.
that's a really interesting approach, because he's a photographer. He loved photography. He died doing what he loved. So I reached out to Gentech. They sent me a telephoto lens. I believe it was a 50 to 500. Yeah, 50 to 500. And they had taken it apart in such that you can remove the inner chassis, fill that with the ashes, and then put it back together again. And they gave me a wood plaque that they could put it on and rest it on, to give to him. And it was in working condition. Like when it's together, it would still focus, it would still work. But when they, it was removable, and it was incredible. I mean, this is a company that heard about Michael and said, yes, here you go. Didn't ask for anything. So yeah, their Gentech is pretty awesome.
That is so cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is so cool.
And Mark, all you, my friend.
I don't know if this segue is going to be good or not, since you were just talking about the memory of Michael, but the music, my jam right now is the band Hailstorm just came out with a new album, and the album is called Back from the Dead. But my favorite song on that album so far has been a song called Bright Side, which is
a song called what?
Bright Side. So, and when you're thinking about the bright side of things, the song is not about that. It's about the other part of it. But anyways, it's a song called Bright Side, and it's something that I love the tune, and actually the whole album is really good. I've listened to it a few times through. So, but Bright Side has been sticking to me. And as far as my tool of the trade right now, I'm going to stick to my creativity and my thinking outside the box. However, my physical tool of the trade has been my my tripods. I have a couple of different tripods, and a lot of the pictures that I have recently in the last year or so that I really, really like are taken using a tripod because they're sharper, they're clearer, they're longer exposures, and it adds a different dimension to your photo when you can do that as opposed to just raising the camera and snapping a picture. Not that that's what we do, but it. And a lot of times when you're setting it up, you're like, "Ooh, what about this angle? And what about this angle?" So it really gets my creative juices flowing to actually work with a tripod and look for a different angle on something.
And getting a good tripod too. I mean, there's some pretty cheesy tripods out there, and when customers walk in the store to buy one, Aurora, you know this, they go for the cheapest one first and think, "Oh, this will be fine." Meanwhile, we know better. Having a solid tripod, it's awesome. It is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've got a couple of cheap ones that they do in a pinch, but you know, my good tripods. I've got a Manfrotto and I've got a three-legged thing. They're my two sort of go-tos. I have a Slick, which it's good for travel, but my three-legged thing is light, it compacts enough, and it's a really versatile tripod. So
cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, that's pretty much it.
And I'm also hungry. So
yeah, okay. Sorry, go ahead, Aurora.
I just wanted to say to everybody, thanks for watching and listening. And if you like the show, follow us, share, tell people you think would like the podcast, because it'll help get this out to more people.
That's right. Or if you think they won't like the podcast, share it with them to punish them.
Yes.
That's right. Exactly. I like that. And also, if you want to be a guest on our podcast, if you think that you are creative with passion for what you're doing and you are doing what you love to do on a regular basis and you've turned it into your lifestyle and you'd like to talk about it and share your experience, let us know. We'd love to have you on as a guest. We're always looking for new guests to come on. And every guest that we have teaches us something new. So it's always great. The only other thing I want to mention is these. Just got new headphones, and I wanted to share these new headphones. I'm very excited about it. And also these lights that died just now, and they haven't been working for the half of the show so far because batteries don't last long enough, but they're good. But no, the Rode headphone, I just picked these up. Anybody's looking for a really nice set of headphones without going too crazy on price, 2 thumbs up. These things are awesome. Love them. That's all. I'm going to shut up now.
All right.
They're great. Okay, that's it for us. Thank you so much again for watching, everybody. I hope you have a fantastic week ahead, and we will see you all next week. Don't forget to check out our old episodes, and stay tuned for our new ones. See you all soon. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.